even know why I'm saying this, cause nothing I'm saying is gonna change this.
Now they managed to rhyme the word this with this. Congratulations, boys. Hello there, you lovely, lumpy, lavish lavender limelights. My name is Comedian, and once again I'm reacting to a new, fresh song off the Good Times and the Bad Ones album. I always think it's Good Times and the Bad because it sounds better, honestly, but then it's ones at the end, and that's their thing, it's their album, but either Good Times and the Bad Ones. Just a bit awkward as far as, you know, stanza goes. Maybe Good Times and the Bad is copyright and they couldn't, I don't know, not worth analysing right now, not really what we're here for. What we're here for is another song of their album, and this song, I have it on good authority from, you know, special inside sources by the name of the Why Don't We fandom wiki. This song is a song with Skrillex, which is thoroughly bizarre. I mean, 2021 is that kind of year already. Like, I've loved Skrillex since I was, how old was I? What's slightly older than a baby? 19. I've loved Skrillex since I was 19 years old, which was pretty decently long time again now, if I have to admit it. And yeah, I've been a massive fan of Skrillex forever. Like, he used to be my absolute favorite artist. Then he kind of stopped releasing music, really, but it's still one of my all-time favorite artists, and still a fantastic artist, like the king, pretty much, of EDM, even still. So the fact that he making a song with Why Don't We is thoroughly interesting and bizarre, and kind of also just perfectly makes sense, because one of the tough things about being a Skrillex fan, if we're going to get real here for a second, which if you don't want to see, skip ahead a bit to the reaction, I guess, is that he is such a fantastic artist, but he hardly ever releases music. You know, Why Don't We? If you're a fan of them, you've been fed pretty well for the last few years. Skrillex hasn't released an album since 2014. Like 6 years, over 6 years ago now, 6.5 years ago, which is bonkers. But, you know, that's him, that's his prerogative. But the interesting thing is that he does do a lot of collabs with pop artists recently. So, you know, some of his fans have been getting pretty, you know, rabid at the mouth, basically being like, we want new music, and he's busy out here doing pop collabs, you know, that we don't even care much for. So it's kind of amazing that he's now doing a pop collab with Why Don't We? But I think it goes to show that he doesn't really care what people think about him. Like, he does the music he wants to do. Like, I don't think you can really accuse him of cash grabbing by doing a song with Why Don't We, because they're not exactly megastars. Then again, maybe, I guess they are decently famous, and maybe they offered him more money than one of his albums sells for to do a call. I don't know. I mean, don't forget, they're not selling, this isn't For You feat Skrillex. Like, he just produced for it. That to me suggests he did it for fun, but I don't know how the music industry works. All I do know is that I am personally extra fascinated by this, because I'm a fan of Why Don't We, as much as a 20-something bloke can be, but I very much appreciate their music for what it is, and I'm a massive fan of Skrillex, and these are two worlds I would never thought would collide, you know? It's like if I went to a Skrillex rave and saw my grandma there in, like, a thong, and with, you know, a whistle and LED, like, it's like, what? I'm not comparing, that was a bad metaphor, I think. I'm not comparing Why Don't We to a grandma. It's two worlds that, like, I never thought I'd see collide. So I am fascinated to see where this is going, and if you are fascinated too by how I managed to talk so much drivel, then click subscribe and I'll tell you later, alright? And like the video, and tell me you like me as a person. That would be great. Alright. Let's do this reaction. I'm curious. I'm fascinated. Can already hear the EDM elements in there. I mean, these are piano keys, but they're like saucy piano keys. They're sauced up. They're tarted up. Like, they got something to them. And there was like a little robot voice came in. At first I thought it was a Skrillex producer tag, but I mean, he's not officially, like, he's not advertised as being on this song. It's like somebody coughing, but made into like a bee noise. It's interesting. It's like a robot clearing his throat. This is a lot more EDM than I thought it would be. It's almost like Deadmau5-y. She said I really miss the old you. Okay. This is definitely, if I had any doubts in the Why Don't We fandom Wikia, they're all gone. Thank you, Wikia. You guys are geniuses. This has to be the Skrillex produced song. Like, this is already, it's got his big booming bass in it already. I mean, it doesn't matter who's producing for, his bass is sublime. Let's get his lyrics again. She said I really miss the old you. They found someone better. Okay, it's catchy. Maybe he was better. Interesting lyrics as well. We've all heard the "oh, I miss the old you" thing before. That's old news, but them also then saying maybe I miss the old me too. That's wow, that's a little deep. Add some depth to it, like a kiddie's paddling pool, doubled.
I'm doing fine. I just stop thinking crazy when you're on my mind. But I gotta say, if we're saying no, I shouldn't say that.
Now here is the big $1 million question, maybe, is how much you got paid to produce this. Is there going to be a drop? It kind of maybe is going that way. This little breakdown could be that way, or it could just be like a little breakdown. I don't know. I'm curious to see how much of a hand scratch it's had in it. Because so far, it started out very Skrillex-y, like with a little like EDM noise in there. You feel like Why Don't You would never have in there unless Skrillex was in the booth with them. But it's kind of settled back down a bit now. I'm just curious where it's going.
And even when you're moving on, I hope you know that I'll be there.
I mean, it's catchy, that's for sure.
Be there for you.
Oh, okay. No, something is happening. Something is definitely happening. I know happening, and that is it.
Me too.
See, this is why, like, personally, as a Skrillex fan, like, yeah, if I was being honest, I would rather he was out there making, you know, solo music, putting out bangers, whatever, but also he's an artist and he's going to do whatever he wants to do. And that's all, you know, that you can't ask anyone else, you can't ask somebody else to do something. And people who demand artists do the music they want them to do, it's just like, that's a way to encourage them to quit music forever. So whatever. But you got to respect the fact that even though this is like a pop collab, there's some really amazing, like fascinating musical elements going on here. Like a little like pulsing, like a scheming blackbird in the background. It's great.
I'll be there for you.
It's great.
Be there for you.
Okay.
I'll be there for you. Me too.
Okay, and some vocal chops too. Here's the thing about EDM pop collabs. They're not just Skrillex, because there's loads of EDM artists out there doing this. And I feel like I'm more talking to Skrillex fans here, so sorry, Limelights. You know, hopefully this is interesting too. I just think of this as like a different take on the song, but don't forget, you know, a lot of EDM artists are doing this, and there's a good reason for that. I mean, obviously Skrillex, somebody like him, he's pretty much set for life, but even still, maybe he wants to make sure he can afford a mansion a day for the rest of his life. Fair enough, that's his prerogative. Other artists, like ones who are maybe mainstream, but not literally the king of EDM, which Skrillex is, they got to guarantee their career. Like this is like me doing these videos, like they're doing a career that probably won't exist in like 10 years, you know? It's tenuous stuff. You can't really hate on them for doing pop collabs when they can hop in the booth with somebody, put their own creative spin on something, and get paid probably better for it, and they get paid for their own tracks. That's just the way the world is, you know? That's just how it is. But another way of looking at it, a more interesting way of looking at it, is that even though by his own standards, like, don't forget, he's not putting his name on this track, and I respect that. I'm more disappointed when it's like, you know, Jesus Christ, MD, you know, X versus Skrillex featuring Skrillex, and then it doesn't really sound like a Skrillex song. That's when I'm disappointed. This isn't billed as a Skrillex song, but it's still got his style all over it. And the interesting thing about it is, even though you might think to yourself, well, as a Skrillex song, you might be like, well, this is not like his usual stuff. As a Why Don't We song, this has really incredible production. Like, there's nothing wrong with Why Don't We's production normally, but this is really, it brings that kind of Skrillex creativity to it, the Skrillex uniqueness, the Skrillex sound. Like, it really does. It's just completely different. And I think another cool thing about this is that it introduces people who haven't heard of people like Skrillex to a new type of genre, a new kind of music. You know, a lot of people get into Skrillex by stuff like the feature with you know, think about Justin Bieber, Skrillex's feature as Jack Ü with Justin Bieber. How many people introduced, you know, the beauty of that song was, everyone at first was like, this song with Justin Bieber. But after a while, the people who were Justin Bieber snobs and like Skrillex were like, actually, he's got a pretty fantastic voice and this song is great. And they stopped being so pretentious about Justin Bieber. I was one of those people, definitely, I think. And the flip side is you have people that like Justin Bieber suddenly are exposed to Skrillex, and you know, so there's a lot of positivity you can see in this. Just overall, it's a great sound. Yeah, as a Skrillex song, yeah, this isn't a banger. No shit, but as a Why Don't We song, as a pop song, this is really cool.
Was it easy to let me go? You say it quick, love my name when you say this, 'cause nothing I'm saying is gonna change this.
Now they managed to rhyme the word this with this. That is cracking. Congratulations, boys.
Be alright, but I gotta say, I still care, but I still care.
I like that. I don't know what the technical medical term for it is when artists say the same line and it has this different meaning. You know, I shouldn't say that I still care, but I still care. Like, if you listen to it casually, it sounds like they just repeated themselves and they're like, they've got mad. What's wrong with them? Somebody slapped them out of it. But no, it's like, there's a very great feeling you get when that's done. I don't know what the word is for it. I don't know what the word for feeling is. I don't know what the word for words is usually, but it's really cool. There's some rappers I know that do that. JME, who's like an English rapper who's really cool. He has some really cool lyrics like that. Like, he talks about some of his like fancy shoes and he says he doesn't wear them out because he doesn't want to wear them out. Like, that kind of stuff is just, ooh, wordplay just gets me going. Like, oh, I'm just out here. I'm over here like, Mr. Darcy. Mr. Darcy, that wordplay.
Here for you.
I don't want to say that I'll be there, but I'll be there.
I'll be there for you.
Woo! All right, and it's another breakdown. We're going to have another mini drop. Hopefully the feathery, honky noises.
I'll be there for you. Even if you want me to.
All right, now that is classic Skrillex vocal chop right there. I mean, it's a little bit different, but it's definitely still classic Skrillex-y vocal chop. The guy is known, if you don't know, if you're a Limelight and you're not aware of Skrillex, known for his vocal chops. It's so cool, and I honestly wish he would have done just a bit more. Like, I think the song could have been even better if he'd done more of that stuff. But yeah, overall, I thought that was really cool. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be like, this is now my favorite Skrillex song, or even necessarily my favorite Why Don't We song. I mean, it was more of a kind of, as like kind of just a more like throwaway, like middle of the album, like kind of like solid pop track. That's pretty good. And considering that I would never in a million years have seen this collaboration happening, I don't, I think that's probably about as good as it could have been. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly thought it would be worse than that, or I thought it would just be even more like generic than that. But that had some really cool elements to it. I was actually surprised how Skrillexy that sounded, because Skrillex has definitely made some pop collabs recently where you couldn't really even tell it was Skrillex. But that track, I could definitely tell it was Skrillex on it. And it had some cool wordplay. So yeah, I want to know if you're out there and you're a Skrillex fan, what you thought of this track. And I want to know, especially if you're a Limelight watching this, which is far more likely, let's face it, based on my channel demographics, that what you thought of this track, what you thought of hearing a song with some EDM production in it. I think it's interesting. And I think there's precedent for this, because I feel like Why Don't We have done that with songs like Come to Brazil and stuff. They've got some songs that have some more like electronic sounds in them. Yeah, let me know what you thought of the reaction. Please do keep suggesting more songs for me to react to. Let me know what tracks on the album I should check out. Hope you guys are having a lovely day. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you very, very soon. And remember, if you like my reaction to the song for you, then click the subscribe button. Please do.